Hey friends, family, enthusiasts, and the likes. I thought I'd take a moment here today to go through my build on this S14 for the 2019 drift season. This car I've been trying to put together for, I don't know, since about October. So I was really pushing on it. I could even go back to August whenever my S12 died. But yeah, I guess I'll start at the front end and kind of go over what's been happening. So back at it again is the KA engine that I had in the S12 with the BorgWarner EFR turbo. Just recently had some welding work done by Nelson over at Beam Tech. So got a nice intake so I can actually put some sort of filter on there so I'm not just sucking things up into my tasty turbo there. So this engine, let's say a little over a year ago, I had to rebuild this, so it's got all new bearings, ARP head studs, really nice Cometic head gasket. It should be pretty stout, hold together for the year, take a little bit of abuse. What else is going on here? So, Frankenstein intercooler system. I mean, I took some of these bits off the RB S13 that I had, like that intercooler. Just kind of chopped together to make it fit how I could. Recently made this mount. It's pretty stout as well. So hold my radiator and intercooler together. Don't want that going away. My dumbass just recently started the engine without watching where this coolant line was going, so now I'm gonna have to replace that. Caught on the belt. Put a nice little gash in there, so we're bleeding out. I mean, little things. Fuel injectors are from a Subaru. I believe they're 550cc injectors. They're keeping up so far with the demand of the turbo. Fuel pressure regulator. It's been pretty awesome so far, as long as, you know, it actually has... Oh, look at that. Fine tools just falling around in here. You know, as long as it has actual fuel going to it, which was a problem I had last year. We'll get around to that. Yeah, pretty straightforward KA turbo setup. We'll move around to what's going on underneath. Try to find somewhere where I've got light. We use the light of my space heater here. Bring it up. Nice and cozy. Oh, so down here, I've got the Z32, 300ZX 4-pot brakes with the Feel 441 coilovers. I hope these will stand up. I mean, they're really quality coilovers, but we'll see about how the spring rate is on it right now. I think these things are set up to, squat pretty hard. You'll need something like 500 plus horsepower to make them actually do their job. But I mean, we'll see. I haven't driven on them yet. Hopefully I can make it work. Coming up here, I walked into this awesome switch panel with all my relays and fuses right on it, so that's made wiring so easy. Just, give it 12 volts, straight to the battery pretty much up there, or at least it runs to my cutoff. Turn it on here so we can get some pretty lights. There we go. And then you have, that'll be like my main fuel pump. I think like ECU and I don't know, some other cool stuff and fans. The other cool thing is main shut off. Shut them all off, if I need to shut it down. Engine management is being ran by a micro squirt system from CMJ Dev. So what he did was hooked up a micro squirt to a daughter board that has the stock S13 ECU pin out, so that way I could just pin in a stock ECU, I could plug in a stock harness with some minor modifications. So you can see I'm not running a MAF or anything up here, so it has a MAF built in, so we're running a vacuum line right to the back, so we have manifold pressure as well as a temperature sensor. So this thing is running pretty solid off of the CMJ Dev ECU. This thing's awesome. I mean, doing all my data logging as well as getting tunes pretty quick from them. The software is pretty intuitive. Even I'm starting to learn how to figure it out. So yeah, we'll keep that going. So like I said up here, brakes, coilovers, about the same thing going on back here. Drilled slotted rotors with the Z32 dual pot calipers. So, you know, one set on the brake pedal, one set for my big old handbrake, which, I mean, my terrible welding, don't look too close. We'll see how this ISR handbrake does. I had this in the S12, but it really never got used because that thing had terrible drum brakes and yeah, it just would not lock for the life of me. Plus my transmission tunnel would just kind of bend whenever I squeezed on it. So it always scared the hell out of me to actually try to use the handbrake on entry. So down here, oh, that's the other cool part now that we're getting to it, is connected to this KA engine is the CD009 from a 2006 350Z. It has a Collins adapter going on in there, which I know we can't really see, but there's a little plate there in between the trans and the engine that helps it all mate up. So the cool thing about that transmission is I got it to run with this RB25 DET, so, you know, Skyline, cool JDM stuff. But this thing's got a knock. I've torn it apart. It'll get rebuilt soon enough. But back to it is this adapter was made to fit with the KA and the RB. So hopefully next year this thing will say bye-bye. I want to keep the turbo, slap it on that beast back there, and make some magic happen. Use the same transmission. So coming back in here, we have the GK Tech shifter relocator for the CD09. So far so good. I still haven't gotten this thing out on the road to test it yet, but with the rear end up on jacks, it rows through gears pretty nice. I mean, there's such short throws. Like first and second are pretty notchy. Same with third, fourth, but like 5, 6s feels kind of difficult to find. That might be a transmission problem, or I might just have to realign this little plate here so that I can get it over and up properly. So yeah, that's what I was saying. I'm all over the place. So I mentioned handbrake going on down here, and something else that you can't really tell from here, but we'll move on to the back. The non-existent boot is back here. That is a differential for a 350Z as well. And I'm dropping my phone. So yeah, we have the 350Z diff back here, VLSD. Maverick Motorsports mounts here, and there's 2 more up on the front holding it together. 350Z axles, and I have some like no-name control arms back here. I think they'll do the trick for now. Came with the chassis, so we'll make it work. Another cool thing about having this rear end, and the only reason I went with that is because there was no axle, there was no differential with this car. So I picked up this 350Z rear end here, scavenged the parts, made it work. It honestly seemed like the cheaper option instead of going out and sourcing a 240 or, you know, an S14 rear end. Especially if you're wanting an LSD or a two-way, might as well go with the Z diff and have some beefier, stronger rear end. Plus with the CD09 transmission, gear ratios still match up. Like, the drivetrain is pretty much all Z. Custom drive shaft, 3-inch steel, made by a local legend. I mean, cage and gussets galore. I mean, this thing is super, super stout. I'm going to keep using that word. In honor of my S12, you know, just get wrecked again. I've got a new battery recently, so I bought one of these 2 years ago. It died, took it back to AutoZone. They gave me a replacement, no questions asked. Awesome, thank you. Give me more free stuff. Inside the cockpit, so I've pulled the seat and my harness back out recently because I'm getting ready to paint. So that doesn't look cool, neither does any of that. I mean, so I've gone through recently, scuffed it up, sanded it down. As soon as the weather gets nice, I'll shoot some paint. Maybe I'll show that paint here in a little bit. So energy steering wheel, energy seat, race clip harness, you know, all the good safety stuff. Down underneath these brackets, I did put some big ass washers. Those should work in place of plating. So I might have to move those around a little because I'm kind of tall. I mean, my head sits up in here with the helmet on. So I'll need to pad all this good stuff up. Keep my head safe. I mean, I've taken enough shots to the head. I don't know how much more damage I can actually take. So moving on down below. Again, because things were missing on this car, I mean, it was a very, very raw chassis. I had to buy clutch and brake pedals. So instead of going with the OEM stuff, I went with these Willwood pedals. Bought them secondhand. The person I got them from had split them in half, pretty much so they could fit it over a steering rack. It kind of just made more troubles for me. I would have rather had them together, keep that structural integrity. So I've had to fabricate some mounts up here, which are also not very pretty. I think I'm going to cut those out and redo them, just because I don't like this. It'll work for now, but I mean, my feet are huge, and look how close that brake and gas pedal are. It's going to be tough. So reran all these lines, so I have brake lines going everywhere. I've got a pressure transducer right there that's going to, you know, use my brake lights or trigger my brake lights. Hopefully that works. Power in, power out when it catches pressure. Yeah, and then I have remote reservoirs that are actually back here. So if this doesn't work out after the first event, I may actually go with some like floor mounted pedals. Now that might make it a little bit closer to me. I mean, my legs are pretty cramped up here. My knees are already by the steering wheel as it is. So, hey, I mean, after this year, I might not, you know, like this car. I might not really fit in it that well. So if anybody's looking to buy, hit me up. I'll go to a Mustang again. I can fit in those pretty well. I think that about wraps up what's been going on here. Maybe I'll break here and show you guys the paint that's going to go on soon. So what I ended up deciding with is a couple of blues. Now, this is Eastwood's, I can't remember what they call it. Eastwood has this mix system to where they choose a few different paints, you mix them together, and it makes something really cool. So this comes with the Burnout Blue Metallic, Sub-Zero Blue Pearl. So we're mixing a pearl with the metallic. So I just gave these a quick shake. Let's see if we can get some decent light in here to see what this looks like. That is going to be awesome. That's not even going to be the final color. And for the pearl, just give that a shake. Maybe some light there. That's going to be really cool. So imagine those on all of this. Make a turd shiny. So there's the update. First event, hopefully getting this out on the street, on the track, not the street. Will be March 30th. We'll be up at Grissom Air Force Base, laying down some rubber. So wish me luck and hope to see you guys soon.